Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for listening to Mr. Laxton's talk about this Algebra 1 Chapter 6 final review. So, the final exam's coming up faster than we can ever know it, so please take a listen to this video here and see what you can find out, see what you can remember. So, I'm just going to do some random ones here to kind of help you out. Hopefully, it'll get you to start to do it on your own. So, number one here, we have r is less than or equal to -3. So remember, we're going to have some type of a dot at -3. But is that dot open or closed? So you have to remember that less than or equal to dots, less than or equal to signs have a closed dot. But just less than signs have an open dot. So here at -3, we have a closed dot at -3. And we have to read this as r is less than -3. So remember here that alligator always eats the bigger number. So -3 is going to be the bigger number. So all the smaller numbers are to the left here. So that arrow goes to the left in number 1. Okay. Be careful with guys like number 3 here. Okay, so we have -4 is greater than that x. So don't forget that -4 is the bigger number. So I put an open dot at -4. And then I put my arrow going to the left because my -4 is my greatest number there. All right, looking at number 7 here, to solve this inequality, I got to subtract 4 first. I get r over 4 is greater than or equal to -1. Okay, now to get r by itself, I can multiply by 4 here and multiply by 4 over here. So I get r, these guys cancel each other out, I get r is greater than or equal to -4. And that's just my final answer there. That's all you got to do. Alright, all you got to do for number 7 through 12, solve for those p's, solve for those r's, get them all by themselves. Alright, great. So you guys can go through number 12. Number 13, 14, 15, 16 are and compound inequalities. So that one, whatever you do to one side, and whatever you have to do to the middle to get that a all by itself here, you got to do both the other sides. So I got to multiply by 2 here to get that to the other side. So if I multiply the middle by 2, I got to multiply the left side and the right side by 2 here. So if I multiply all these parts by 2, I get -8 is less than, now it's just a in the middle, is less than -4. So that's all we have there. Whatever you do to the middle, you got to do to both sides of that inequality. All right. Number 17 and 18 are just or compound inequalities, so you just solve those just straight through, just like you did up in top. All right. Number 19 here, quick talk. Absolute values, okay? If you remember absolute value equations, we have to accept the positive and negative options. All right? So if I look here, I have to accept the +6 and the -6. So I drop the absolute value bars. I got x plus 5 is greater than 6. And don't forget here, now I have x plus 5 is less than -6. Don't forget to switch the sign. So switch when accepting negative. All right. So switch when you accept that negative option. So now you just go through here and solve both these guys. So you subtract 5 to all of these parts. So you subtract 5. So now I get x is greater than 1. And I have x is less than -11. So those are just my 2 answers for these. So every single one of these, 19 through 24, you should get 2 answers, okay? So be careful in 23 and 24 is that you have to subtract that 5 first before you break it up. So now you have k minus 7 is greater than or equal to 17. All right, so go through there, and now you can break it up like we did up here. So remember, absolute value bars always have two answers. All right, so 25, 26, 27, 28 are kind of all the same things with graphing here. So 25, to graph this guy, if I look, my y-intercept is 5. All right, that is my y-intercept. Oh, where'd my pen go here? My y-intercept is 5, so I can put a dot at 5. And now my slope, or my m, is 7 over 5. That 5 is my b, my y-intercept. So if I look here, my slope, if you remember, is rise over run. So remember here, I have to rise 7 and run 5, okay? So if you notice here that if I rise 7 up here, I'm going to go off the graph. So I'm going to, instead of rising 7, I'm going to go down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to go over 5. And now I'm going to go backwards left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I put a dot there. So notice here that I have a positive slope. So I have a positive slope that's going up as I go to the right. So now remember here, this is less than. So now I have a dashed line that goes through here. That's one of those differences of graphing linear inequalities here. All right, now going through my last part here is I have to toss some shade on this guy. All right, so if you remember this, we tested a point. So remember, we like to test 0, 0 whenever possible. So if I test 0, 0 into this guy, plug him in, I get 0 is less than 7 over 5 times 0 plus 5. All right, so now I have 0 is less than, this is going to be 0, so I'm just going to have 5 here. So is 0 less than 5? That's what you have to ask yourself. And yes, it is. 0 is less than 5. So I'm going to shade everything that is down here. So remember, for graphing linear inequalities, you must dash or solid line, and you must shade. All right, so there's two things you've got to make sure that you have here. Okay, so 28 and 27 and 28 are kind of the same. You're just graphing two of them on one, and then that overlapping shaded region. So the overlap is going to be your answer here for these guys. All right, so your overlap is going to be your answer. All right, so do your best on these inequalities here. See what you can find. I will be back, and we'll talk about some of these guys as we come back. So do your best. Be ready for this final exam. Thank you.